Hello and welcome to Buying and Beyond, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of retail buying. We're Kate and Linz, and together we have over 30 years experience in retail.
We'll be talking all things retail buying and beyond, so grab your drink of choice and come and have a giggle with us. Hi Kate, it's season 2.
Hi Lindsay, I can't believe we're back, season 2.
Wow, amazing.
And thanks for joining us again.
How are you feeling today, Kate?
Feeling good. I'm feeling excited to get started and get back into things.
Yeah, lots more things to talk about.
Sunny day, sun's
It's such
out.
a sunny day.
I'm feeling fresh. So we ended last season with all the reasons we love buying.
Uh-huh.
A montage of our favourite moments and our memories. And one of our favourite moments was getting our first promotion. And Lindsay thinking she was earning the big bucks and splashing out on her designer goods.
Oh, yes.
But the really big one is becoming a buyer.
Absolutely.
So finally getting that title.
Mm-hmm.
And often you're heading up the team. There can be expectations then to buy treats for the teams. It's like Christmas presents are on you.
God,
like,
I know, that
there's
is
the
painful.
the whole team thinking that you've had this huge pay rise when actually in reality you're still struggling to pay your rent.
Oh my God, it's so, like when you start doing that as well, like I started not just doing Christmas presents, birthday presents, but doing Advent too.
Gosh, and then
I did
Easter.
Advent, and then one year I bought them all a Tony Chocolonely, and I was like, my team then expanded the next year, and I thought I just can't stretch to a Tony Chocolonely for everyone. Like,
And
what?
you needed to have gone for like Cadbury's Basic.
I
or
should have
something
started
like that.
low. Now they're on a celebration calendar, and they're like, what did I do?
What happened? Yeah.
Did I do something fair?
And it can, you like start setting a precedence, don't you? And then like one year you might be like, oh, and I'll also get one for maybe the merchandising side of the team. And then they expand too. And then like, oh, but your technologist has been such a great help that year.
Oh, and they go on all the trips with you.
And the next thing you know, you're just there. You're just like, can't afford to buy any presents for my family. Because I spent everything on the team.
Exactly.
But hey, they think I'm high flying. And you're solely responsible for devising that strategy and seeing it through from end to end. Like, this is your moment. Like, everything you've dreamed of, you can put into place. And we talked about management and team.
Yeah.
In the last season, and how there's no I in team, and even Lindsay's favourite saying, one team, one dream.
So corny.
But it's true. It's true.
It's true.
And you have responsibilities now, but also the opportunity to build the team you want around you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've finally got the buyer title. And depending on that size of team, like you could be supported by an established or senior buyer within the same department. But like whatever your setup, you do need a strong A, B and BA to support.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lindsay, how did you find becoming a buyer and making sure that you had the team around you that you needed?
Yeah. I mean, I think so many people find this a struggle, don't they? Because you suddenly become a buyer, and normally you kind of inherit a team. So, which can be brilliant, can be quite challenging, because
it can be great when they know the ins and outs of that department.
Oh yeah, but then sometimes they're a bit too precious about the way things have been run, and especially being brought onto a team that's struggling and you need to try and turn it around.
Yeah, because
that can be so difficult.
Even be quite stagnant at times. And
exactly.
And as you say, you inherit it. You can inherit some really great people that have the history, but you can inherit some problems. People who have got frustrations that haven't been promoted, and you're there like newly promoted, feeling fresh, excited about your new role, and you've got people there that are just like, I've been on this team since
1993. And I think you have to, it's such a balancing act of being really sensitive to potentially the trauma that they've been exposed to for the last few years and the sales declining for whatever reason. It could just be a natural decline in the marketplace, or, just problems with your supply base, or just having maybe the buyer before just kind of lost a bit of direction, and that's why they needed to move on to something else. it is such a hard one to be Mrs. Positive like all the time, because you can piss people off quite easily by doing that.
Having a chirpy attitude.
Yeah, but then at the same time, maybe that's what they need.
And that's
they
what
just
you're
need
there
some,
for.
Like, uplifting. They need a Tony Chocolonely calendar.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're the leader of that team often. And like, and also, you know, you very quickly, it becomes like family. You know, we've talked about how much time you spend with your team at
work.
my
God, so much time.
And often you feel like the mum of the team. You can feel quite protective.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's times where I've been a buyer and I don't have much of a team, and I've been told to take on this department that we want to grow. And I've had to sort of put business cases together for team members, and then I've gone out and hired from scratch, which has been amazing, because I think my best piece of advice for that would be, don't rush into it. I know that you're drowning in work and you need some support, and you need that admin support, and you need like, you know, bums on seats. But the worst thing you can possibly do is just hire the first person that's not quite right just because you need the work done, because that's really so much more challenging than having to do it all yourself. You've got to find the right personality fit, skill set, especially in the admin roles that you need. You know that you're going to need to deliver the strategy.
I remember having an MD once who said, "I'd rather an absence than an asshole."
Oh my God, that's great.
Which is a really quite like an aggressive statement, but you can see where he's coming from. In some instances, actually, it's better not having anybody there than having someone that's going to be potentially difficult.
Yeah, definitely. And
what a quote.
I love that. We need to put that on the website. And then I think once you've worked hard, I mean, usually it can take up to a year to find all the people that you need. But I know when I was working for a buyer that I really admired, she had a very kind of a family orientated way of mentoring, and she'd hold summer parties at our house, and we'd all go around for a barbecue like on a Saturday, and it was so nice. It was really nice. But there was the boundaries are still there. Like, I think it's really important to say that as well. Like, you know, you are the boss. Like, you know, you can't be too friendly with your staff. But then I'm a great believer in, like, you know, you are human at the end of the day, and you get quite a lot out of people by being more human with them. So, and then they respect you more, you know. So.
Well, yeah, and it's great that people wanted to go on a Saturday as well. You know how so often people are like, Monday to Friday is work.
Yeah.
Weekends are mine.
Absolutely.
The fact that people wanted to socialise. Yeah. Like, she built a really strong connection with all those people that they actually wanted to go and hang out at her house.
I know. And so when I became in that position, I had everyone around to my house for a pizza party. And it was like a celebration to say thank you so much for all your hard work. So I got I got a pizza oven with pizzas and like Prosecco. And it was just such a nice moment for me to see them all in my house and be like, oh, this is great. Like, such a great
and you
team.
Get to know, like, going back, I guess, when we've talked about management and things, and like how one-to-ones aren't just about like your to-do list, but about like how are you as a person. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to get to know somebody outside of work. What you know, what are they like? Like, you kind of break down those barriers a bit, don't you? And then obviously you have a very professional relationship at work. You still need to maintain that, but you understand somebody a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And how to manage them then? That's a great way to work out how someone would benefit being managed, because there's so many different ways to manage people, you know. It's not a one size fits all. I mean, there's, you know, that you do have to have like the strict fundamentals in there, but you have to adapt to people's personality types, which I know you love talking about, Kate.
The colours. I actually saw a book earlier today, and I made a note of it because I saw it in the bookshop and I was like, do you know what? That book has got my name on it. It was called Surrounded by Idiots. Which doesn't sound quite right when I say it's got my name on it.
My name
is not idiot.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
But it was about real quick tangent here, but it was about somebody that that just felt like they were surrounded by idiots because they didn't understand, like they weren't getting from what they needed to.
Right.
I haven't read the book yet. I just read the synopsis on the back.
I think I'm going to read this.
But it sounds really interesting, and it was basically a bit more detail about those personality types and how people kind of tick, and then how you can get the best out of them. Fascinating read, I think. I mean, I've not read it yet, but I'm expecting it to be a fascinating read.
Well, maybe we can both read it and we can talk about it in one of the episodes.
Yes. Yeah, let's. Book club. But yeah, there's definitely a sense of family, and you feel really responsible, don't you, for the team? And you've got this group of people that are dependent on you from like a personal point of view, and supporting them in their progression, but also like you're setting the strategy, like you're giving them direction, like they are all looking to you.
Yeah,
like you are the decision maker. There's no more asking your buyer to like select the product.
Yeah.
Like it's all on you. And you've got that team that you need to like motivate and nurture. So how do you go about that? Like you say, you've got so many different like personality types within your team. Like what do you do to keep your team motivated? And especially, as you say, if you've picked up like a stagnant team.
Yeah, no, I mean the stagnant team one is a difficult one, isn't it? I think it's you have to stay so strong with the positivity, because at some points, no fault, it's not their fault, but they are going to try and wear you down because they've just gone on this path of just feeling quite low. So you have to break that somehow. I think it's more about giving them a bit more responsibility as well, like allowing them to make the decisions. I think one of my favourite pieces of advice from a previous boss was to be a helicopter. I don't know if we've talked about this before. We might have done. So, but you, as a helicopter, you should, as a overall manager, you should be hovering above and then just coming down to sort problems out and then going back up again, because no one likes to be micromanaged, do they? And especially people that have been on a team where they know what they're doing and they know the product, but they may have just been missing some strategy and direction. So involve them in the strategy too. So involve them from the beginning. What's their thoughts and opinions on the strategy? And then you're almost then just kind of putting it into a more of a strategic document to try and tick off all the company objectives and things like that. But they feel very much involved in.
I think you had a really, really great analogy for this when you said they drive the car and you steer. I like that. Corny. But it's true. Mm-hmm. It is. You get like, they do. You're the one that's, but you're the one directing and they're driving it. You're telling them, you're directing it, you're telling them where to go, you're steering it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked that analogy.
Thanks, mate. That's lovely.
And if you think it's corny.
I know, but I'm Mrs. Corny, aren't I, really? Let's be honest. We could even do a whole section on Lindsay's corny phrases. That would be good.
But I know that you also have told me about a lot of the kind of like one-to-ones and that you've had where... So I know you've also told me about sort of like some of the team meetings that you've had where you've made it broader than just your day-to-day, what you're doing. It's actually the bigger picture and looking at retail.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is, again, quite hard to do this every week. But I think if you get everybody together in a room and you're just going through everyone's to-do list, they're just not interested. Like, it's dull.
You lose people.
So why not say to everyone, everyone bring like like a fun fact that they found out about a retailer that they love, or like an interior trend that's coming through that they think is fantastic, or something they've bought recently that they really, they're like, oh my god, this has changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and you lead from the front, right? I don't know, you're wearing a cool new pair of trainers or something. You're like, oh my god, guys, look at my trainers. Like, you start to just invite that kind of broader conversation.
Yeah, open your eyes up rather than like kind of single-minded and one-channeled, because again, retail's tough, right? And people can get bogged down, especially when you're not leaving the office.
Yeah,
like, I think that's another really good point, actually. Good point. That you need to encourage people when they are feeling a bit low and a bit unmotivated, just to get up out of their seat and go out to stores, go out to competitors, go to a trade show, go to an exhibition.
Just get your fresh
perspective.
Just
get out and go and do something different. Although you might feel like you don't have time, there's just so much to do, but just getting that fresh perspective on things is so important. So I think that's that's really important to motivate people in that way. But then there will be people in that room that aren't really interested in that kind of stuff. So they might be the people on the team where they are the gatekeeper of the admin, and they just want to keep things going, and they're not actually really that interested in that kind of stuff. And I think if they sit in a room with people that are, sometimes that motivates them. Do you know what I mean? They don't necessarily need to contribute to the conversation, or they can contribute in a completely different way. Like, I don't know, I bought this amazing pizza at the weekend and it was fantastic. And
it's just encouraging that chit chat, isn't it? Because sometimes it can maybe feel a little bit like, we definitely had it where, we had a team meeting where sort of 20 odd people would come to it, and we go around, we're like, so to each person, have you got anything to, there would be a download of how the trade was and the week was looking, what the priorities were, and then we go around the room to each person to see how they were. Was there anything they wanted to bring to the meeting? And most of all, it was nothing from me, nothing from me, nothing from me. You go around 20 people, nothing from me. So that it was like, okay, well, next week could everybody just bring a fun fact or tell us what you did at the weekend?
Yeah.
But even that was quite difficult to draw out of people, and you kind of had to lead it from the front. So you needed to be the one that would be like, oh, I went to this great place. Has anybody been there? And you invite that conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes when you sort of set the task of bringing something, people's minds go blank.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring something, anything. What did I do? I don't know. I didn't do anything. People's minds spiral. But if you can just like draw them into that conversation, it can be, it can be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Some people just need encouragement, and that's what you're there to do. It's very much yes, you've made buyer and you're setting the strategy and you're developing the products with your assistant buyer, etc., but you are moving more into a motivational role. Like, kind of need to be a motivator. Into kind of
motivational, and also it's your responsibility to balance the information you share with the team.
Yes.
Like we
talked a lot about this recently, haven't we?
Yeah, you'll become a lot more privy to bigger company conversations and decisions, and that can be quite hard to stay positive when things are falling apart around you.
Yeah.
And you're trying to keep your team together, and you can't share too much. Like, you need to make the decision of like what is needed to know, what will empower them, what will scare them. Like, you need to make the call on like how to keep them in the loop, keep them focused and motivated, but also possibly protected from decisions, directions, and difficult conversations that are coming down from the top. Because it can be really hard if you're in a situation where I don't know, suppliers aren't going to get paid, for instance. And so you're asking them to hold off placing orders. Or you might know that a supplier is about to go under because you've heard something on the grapevine, and so you don't want to place the orders, so you're asking them to like sit on it. There can be so many examples of things like that happening, and you need to protect your team from something like that, but they don't understand why you won't just let them raise the bloody orders.
Yeah, exactly. And they think you're not doing your job properly, and you're just holding up the process for no reason at all.
Do you not understand that if I don't book this production space now, then it's all going to fall apart and you're not going to get the product in on time? And you're thinking, well, you're probably not going to get the product in on time anyway because the supplier's about to go kadump.
Yeah, exactly.
For example. So it is about like...
It's a balancing act of like being able to make those decisions to know that the information that they're going to receive is not going to be taken in a difficult way, and put pressure on them, because you need them to focus on their job.
You do, and there's a point that you get to when you're at a buyer that you've seen so many seasons and you've got an understanding. And that's not to say that if you're a BA or an AB you maybe don't understand, but maybe you are a little bit more, or definitely we've noticed maybe sometimes in order to elevate yourself to buyer you have to separate yourself from all the gossip.
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't love a gossip when you're sort of at buyer, but I think when you're at BA it's very gossip, and then as an AB you're still like, oh my gosh, gossip. But you get to buyer and you're like, okay, actually some of this is really sensitive information that I'm handling and I need to be quite careful. And as a buyer it's your responsibility to balance that information that you share with the team. So like, what do they need to know? What's going to empower them? What's going to scare them? Like, you need to make that call on how to keep your team in the loop, keep them focused and motivated on what you're doing, but like possibly protected from those directions, decisions and difficult conversations from the top.
Yeah, I mean, you're sat and exposed to a lot more top level meetings, you know, where the information is quite confidential for the rest of the team, you know, and like you say, it's picking out the things that they need to know, and then there's picking out the things that will just derail them from what they're doing and stop them from being motivated. And it is really hard because some of the things that you have to say they won't understand, and then that's as far as you can go with an explanation, and they can be like, but you're just stopping me from doing what I need to do, and I need to get on to the next step. But you know, in the back of your mind there's a reason behind it,
and you want to say it's not my decision, it's the bloody head of buying. It's like I don't want to do it either, but you've got the team saying, oh, I don't want to do this, and you're just like, oh no, neither do I. But you're taking you're taking the high road, and you're saying,
spinning the company line.
Exactly. Well, these are all the reasons why we need to do this, and then taking that all on your shoulders and taking it home because it's above their pay grade to worry about that kind of crap. Yeah. Like, you've got the promotion, and with it, you've got a whole weight on your shoulders too.
Yeah, exactly. I think the other thing, which I don't know if we've touched upon, is once you become buyer, you, like you said, you are making the decisions, and it is you have to fight for your decisions, and some with some of the team members, because quite a lot of the hungry, really energetic ones are really questioning some of your decisions. So you have to really believe in what you're doing is right, and understand and say, no, we're going with this supplier because of X, Y, Z. And then someone might have a thought against that, but you have to be like, no, that is the decision, and I'm not talking about it ever again.
You're the
and I
decision-maker.
found that when I first became buyer quite hard to be, so right, that's the decision we're making, and that's it. Draw a line under it, move on.
Especially if you've got people on the team that have been there for a while, like, we tried that before, it didn't work. And
exactly.
We may have tried that before,
we tried
but
that before and didn't work.
As my way.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it my way this time, and my way this time will work.
Yeah. Because we've got better packaging, and we positioned it better in the stores, and it's got friends with it, and it's like in a concept, and you know, the world's moved on.
And you can show them that by bringing them along, say, the journey. Yeah. But you can show them that by bringing them into the buy while you're working on it, you know, and explaining to them what you've done and how it differs from last time, and what the inspirations come from, and where you've seen something else similar, or some of the market research. And definitely I as a BA and an AB, I really appreciated it, particularly when we had an absolute ton of orders to raise and you were just there sitting automated, that the buyers had said, okay, well, if you get this many orders done in the morning, then you can come and sit in on the buy in the afternoon. And that would be brilliant. You'd be super speedy and efficient to just get as many orders raised as correctly as possible, so you didn't have to spend the afternoon redoing them. And then you'd get to go in and you'd get to understand their thought process behind why they had put X, Y, and Z in the range. And you could even start to do some of the negotiation. Yeah. Which is amazing, because I remember as an AB being so excited that I got to do the negotiation, and I got to, like, you know, start having those, like, that dialect with the suppliers and building that relationship. And as a buyer, brilliant, because it's a tick on your to-do list. You haven't had to do that, so it works for everybody. And I think it's just all about that balance and motivation. And I was really lucky to have buyers like that, but I've also worked in a team where I haven't had buyers like that. And I think becoming a buyer is your opportunity to make a positive change. Like,
definitely.
Just because your buyer treated you like X, Y, and Z
doesn't mean that you have to. No. Don't be the boss you've had. Be the boss you want to be.
Love it. The corniness comes out again. I love that saying.
I think it's this juice, this carrot and ginger juice.
It's so
There's something in it.
And the range building, I have to say, is one of the most fun parts of being a buyer. When you finally
unbox all those samples, hang them up.
The excitement of it all, and you finally get to put everything that all your ideas into place. You're not just towing the line. You're not just following someone else's ideas.
They're all yours.
Yeah, putting all yours
and
into place. And with your designer and your merchandiser. But ultimately, it's your vision. And that's one of the most exciting things about becoming a buyer.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, should we have some retail therapy?
Let's. Do you want to start?
Okay. What figure? Okay. So I was working a 4-day week, but my boss and the CEO wanted me to do 5 days a week. I'd been resisting as I wanted to keep my extra day with my little one. But one day in my one-to-one, my boss asked again. So what would it take for you to do 5 days a week? They'd asked so many times, I decided to go bullshit, and I just said, well, make me a head of.
Wow.
Thinking it would never happen. The next day, I was told I was a head of. And the whole leadership team was notified of my promotion by the CEO.
Oh my gosh.
But I hadn't even been given a new contract or discussed a salary increase. And the world and his wife knew.
Wow.
I mean, it just shows you've got to like be bold.
Be bold. Back
Go
yourself.
for it. Back yourself. What have you got to lose? If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like not knowing what your new role exactly entails and what the increase
is quite risky.
It's a bit,
but you got to take these opportunities
but
when they're presented to you. Absolutely.
Right, what have you got?
What have I got? Okay. I'd spent such a long time pushing for my assistant to get her junior buyer, as she'd been working really hard for it, but my boss had been a total nightmare. The whole of buying and merch was suddenly one day called onto a Zoom call, and to my horror, this is the forum that my boss decided to announce that my assistant had been promoted amongst a list of other promotions. I was sat in another room from her and had to watch the shock on her face. Cringe and so unprofessional. I just wanted to die.
God, you really feel for her, don't you?
Yeah.
Because the excitement of being promoted.
Yeah, I mean, the result's great.
It's kind of being tarnished a bit of like, but it is that true? I haven't been told of this. So was that a mistake? Is that my name?
Exactly.
Was that my name? It kind of takes some of the shine off it in a little bit because people are all looking at you and your face on Zoom is probably like,
so what?
Of absolute confusion.
Right? Yeah, no, exactly. And like just so bad on her manager as well, because she's like obviously wanted to tell her herself.
Yeah.
Or himself.
Yeah, especially when you root for somebody.
Yeah, and you want that moment.
And you have to
tell
go
them to say you worked really hard and you're going to be rewarded, not on a bloody Zoom call with 50 other people on it.
And you have your thunders stolen.
Absolutely.
Especially when you've been rooting for them for so long and in so many cases have to create like a business case to get somebody promoted.
Yeah,
it can be really tough. And I definitely didn't realise that. Definitely. Like, I didn't appreciate that, I don't think, how much actually.
I agree. I don't think you really know how much your managers are really at putting themselves out there for you until you become one.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Right, shall we get back to it? I mean,
yes.
I think we're actually at the point where we should probably wrap up.
Yeah,
that's a nice, gentle reintroduction to the season. So thank you for joining us as we start season 2, Life of a Buyer. It is such an exciting time becoming a buyer. You finally get that title. Like, that's what you've been working for. It's the absolute dream. So let's celebrate with 3 reasons why we love being a buyer.
So, number 1, you now have full control to set the direction, put all your plans into place and steer your ship under the leadership of your head of buying, director, CEO, etc. Let's not get too carried away now. Number 2, the opportunity to build the team you want around you to nurture and create buyers of the future. You have the responsibility of balancing, keeping your team in the loop and also keeping them motivated, which may mean protecting them from direction, decisions and difficult conversations from the top. And number 3, you can make a positive change. Treat your team how you would like to be treated, value their opinions and be a role model, maybe the one you wish you'd had.
I love that. So next week, we'll be talking in more detail about trips and travel, and particularly about development trips and visiting factories.
Oh, fun. The fun part.
See you then.
Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please, please, please like and subscribe and leave a review.
And if you already have, thank you, thank you, thank you. We all need a bit of retail therapy, and this is the perfect time for you to offload about that super cringeworthy story. We would love to hear from you all, your funny stories and experiences, or even any dilemmas. And maybe we can help, or at least find someone who can. And don't worry, we will keep these anonymous and remove any names and brands.
We would also love to hear from you on any topics you would like us to talk about. Please send all of these into buyingandbeyond@gmail.com or drop us a DM via our Instagram page @buyingandbeyond. Kate, are you a drama queen?
No.
Drama just makes things interesting.
That's true.
All these thoughts and opinions are our own and based on our own experiences working for a wide variety of retailers. These are all in the hope to entertain and educate, and not to reflect negatively on any place we currently or have previously worked.